Hi there, welcome back to Tyranny on Hard. It's Judgment Day and we are the law, and we will look at the armies in the north, because it has come to our attention that the Empire has made good on Kyros' threat. Armies march from the north with only one goal, the utter annihilation of the Tears. Fortunately, you have the Resonator at the Vendrian's Well Spire at your disposal. With it, you have the power to issue an edict and disrupt the Northern Kingdom. The final victory may yet be yours. So where's the Resonator? That looks like the Resonator, is it? The waves of energy radiating from the spire draw you forward, pressing your body and mind to its eager embrace. At the center of this tide, the Resonator stands ready to broadcast your voice, echoing your commandments to the farthest reaches of the Tears and beyond. From here, the highest point in all the peninsula, you could, with the sum total of your effort, project your will far north, past the edge of the Tears, and proclaim your edict as far as the lands of the Northern Empire. Will we ask our companions? Yeah, this probably amounts to a declaration of war against the Overlord. Ready? Verse. So this is it. We've come a long way since Edgering Ruins. Before this, I was doing nothing important. One Scarlet Chorus killer among thousands. But we're really doing something here. Thanks for letting me tag along. She turns to the edge of the spire, avoiding your gaze. Opportunity. I can feel it like a coaxing breeze. Not since Graven Ash stood against Kyros has anyone made such a dent in the Overlord's defenses. It's been an honor serving at your side, come what may. I'm ready to face it. Barik nods to you. This is new territory for us all. You're the first to strike a blow directly at the Overlord. Make sure it counts. Hope you don't mind if I stand back and take notes. By all means, continue. So, what will we do? Will we conquer the Northern Empire? This will be an opening strike. No, we want to probably go. Well, this is. What a choice, right? What does the first mean? The first is alleviating us, and this is alleviating the Tears. So this will be an opening strike. Perhaps the Tears will conquer the Northern Empire. Spire awaits your command. Select a region. There's the Northern Empire. How can we stop them? And what do we have? Edict of Storms. Random damage to strike your enemies during combat. Of Stone. Can lead to earthquakes and the slow petrification of the living. Oh, that sounds terrible. Edict of Fire. Generates incredible heat, strengthening the powers of magic. This slows down magical energy, and I'm not sure. I mean, we're not relying much on magical energy. Lantry is mostly healing us. So I think the Edict of Stone may be the thing. Minus 15 to all magic skills. Less move speed, less action speed, more armor. And we have Weakened Bane here. That's not bad. And this has... They have more shock damage taken. Well, we're not as good for that. And there we would have more magic skills. I think we're going for the Edict of Stone. We'll issue that edict. Whoa, ho, ho, ho. What is happening here? strike our enemies down. Your edict of stone shakes the ground under the northern capital. A quake that builds in such ferocity that massive sinkholes open under the bustling city, swallowing whole districts. As citizens flee in terror, mages attempt to help, but find their arcane powers dampened to the point of uselessness. Even as they cleave to falling structures or run from widening fissures, all wonder why Kyros offers no deliverance. As chaos ensued in the northern kingdom, the armies marching on the tiers received an unprecedented order. The armies were to fall back to the capital and ensure the safety of its people from the edict. For the first time in Kyros' grand conquest, the armies retreated. Soon questions would be asked in a hushed breath across the lands about what new and terrible power had emerged that could force the hand of the Overlord. You fulfilled Kyros' decree, and all the tiers is now ruled by a single Archon. Your former rivals have either submitted to you or perished, bringing the civil war to a close. The Scarlet Chorus may have been mighty in numbers, but that didn't stop you from thoroughly scattering them, cutting off the serpent's head and sending each to the gangs howling back to the chaos they sowed. How the remnants of the Horde occupy themselves without a war to fight becomes a topic for nightmares. It was thought the disfavored would never rally under another general, but by enlisting Graven Ash to your cause, you managed the next best thing, controlling the Archon to harness the strength of the Northern Empire. You reorganized their old-fashioned regiments with a new chain of command, placing yourself at its highest authority. The Legion's victories spread beyond count, and your soldiers train hard, preparing for the retaliation to come. Under your guidance, those who resisted the conquest and sowed discontent are vanquished, their rebellion brought to a decisive end. Any lingering question of who is true ruler of the tiers is answered by your impact on the reconstructed nation. Word of your success spreads beyond the tiers as well. Even the most distant corners of the Empire whisper of the Fatebinder, who rose to become an Archon, and an Archon whose intervention shattered the conquest, making way for a new future in the devastated nation. Uniting the tiers under the banner of the disfavored was never your directive, and yet you performed it admirably, consolidating the Overlord's forces under your rule and grooming the tiers for their place in a new order. The same people who once hurled curses across a siege soon learned to think of themselves as part of a greater whole extending beyond their modest borders. With the Edict of Stone dispelled, the earth around the Stone Sea finally settles, leading everyone to believe the realm of Azure will return to its former glory. The ritual used to end the edict blighted the land to such a degree that nothing will grow no matter how hard anyone tries. With determination, some are able to start small seedlings, but nothing ever comes of it. The memory of Cairn as a great force of destruction remains as a monument of inert rock. Most agree that the world is better off without the Archon of Stone, as the people of Azure begin to slowly reclaim the land that was once torn asunder by his power. As the strongest and oldest of their kind, the death of the Stone Stalkers is a blow to Beastman culture. Their demise also brings centuries of oral traditions to an abrupt end. The local tribes never recover from the terrible loss. With Cairn's essence preserved and the lands of Azure permanently blighted, the Earthshakers return to the disfavored. While their reputations isn't what it used to be, their success in dealing such a decisive blow to the Scarlet Chorus by removing their main source of food has earned back the respect of the Legion. The Earthshakers are accepted back into the ranks of the disfavored, once again becoming part of the army that helped subdue the Tears. With the Unbroken all but destroyed, the former citizens of Stalwart threatened to slide into lawlessness. Kyros' forces stationed at Sentinel Stand managed to quell the worst of the uprisings, but peace under the nation's new leadership is resisted at every turn. Amelia returns to Gravenash's fort at Ironhearth with her baby, the former heir of Stalwart. Her presence brings unease to the disfavored, who don't know what to make of a circumstantial traitor. How she navigates the future you imposed on Taratus will be her decision. Though it takes time to recover from the devastation of the Edict of Storms, the Blade Grave begins its slow march toward healing. The realm of Stalwart may never resemble its former glory, but the land is not so blasted that something new and better can't be built atop the bones of the past. The Regent bloodline has ended. With it, new traditions and legacies spring to life. You eliminated the Scarlet Chorus that plagued the disfavored troops in the Vellum Citadel, cutting a path through them all the way to the Silent Archive. Instead of destroying it as Gravenash wanted, you chose to keep it for yourself, realizing the knowledge contained in the scroll was far more useful in your hands. By taking the Silent Archive from its pedestal and disrupting the preservation spell holding the Vellum Citadel in stasis, you caused the collapse of the single largest repository of knowledge in Taratus. The world may never know the true extent of the loss. The sages are all but wiped from the Tears. What remains of their hoarded knowledge is vulnerable, as likely to be misused as destroyed. The damage done to the intellectual core of the region is likely beyond reversal. Though small groups of would-be scholars gain influence from time to time, the setback is ultimately too vast to overcome. Without your help, the small garrison of Kyros' forces is easily overwhelmed by the Bronze Brotherhood, who are intent on taking the settlement back. It flounders under the control of the Bronze Brotherhood, and what was once a thriving center of commerce for the Tears quickly devolves into a lawless town, prowled by mercenaries and thugs. By enacting an edict on Vendrian's Well, you announced your power to the world and showed Kyros' forces what you were capable of. When you defeated their leader and scattered the army before you, it sent the message to Kyros: a new Archon is born. While the edict dissipated, its effect will always be felt as the first true threat to Kyros' rule. Gravenash, though, continues to lead the disfavored, this time bowing to your superior command. At first, the old general balks at your instructions, but in time, he grows to trust your judgment without question. Working together, you bring much-needed order to the lawless Tears. Killing the voices of Nerad spreads the joy of bloody vengeance across the continent, celebrated as the death of history's greatest parasite. The occasion is marked by all who suffered under the oppression of the Scarlet Chorus. Even in victory, one thought nags you. Though you witness his death, you can't help but wonder if the voices of Nerad is done with you. With the death of Tunon, the educator, the bastard city threatens to slide back into its lawless ways. Keeping the peace and imposing a new definition of order commands all your focus. You learn to delegate the responsibilities of a new court of Fatebinders who lighten the burden and make the Archon's absence a manageable setback. The death of Bleedenmark deprived the world of a most capable murderer. One less bedtime story to scare children is no significant loss, though you can't help but glance at the dark corners of every room and feel as if something is watching you. Bleedenmark will always cast a long shadow on your life. Not content to enjoy the fruits of victory, Barak positions himself among the rank and file of your supporters, organizing troops around their strengths and making sure each pulls their weight. His armor clings to him as doggedly as ever, though he wears it with a straighter back and a lighter step than he did before. A team of loyal camp followers polish his plates to a respectable sheen each morning, and the smell that escapes his visor has notably improved. Medals of valor decorate his breastplate, and adoring supporters drape garlands of flowers about his pauldrons. Life is good for the towering soldier. Verse finds herself adrift in the relative peace that follows your conquest. She returns to the field and seeks out young women from rural communities, imparting her fighting skills to only the most passionate. Over the course of many apprentices, she follows the voices of Nerat's example and forms a personal army. The Color Sisterhood. Verse proves to be a strict teacher, and you hire her services often, confident that she'll take any assignment where there's blood to be spilled. Lantry keeps a close watch over you, scribbling his account of your deeds and accomplishments. In his tireless quest to fill the chronicle with history and knowledge, he follows you even into his twilight years, and together you learn much about the world. You pretend not to notice Lantry's waning strength, though you find yourself pausing mid-sentence to let his writing catch up. He recognizes your generous ruse and appreciates it in silence. Exhausted from fighting, Ebb shifts her focus to the broken school of tidecasters. She recruits as many talented students as possible, but apprentices are difficult to find in the tense, post-war tiers. The few who are drawn to her teachings show promise, and Ebb has little doubt that the tidecasters can return to their former strength in less than a decade or two. The going will be hard for some time, though. With no desire to remain in the company of humans, Kills in Shadow returns to the wilderness and seeks out her own kind. She discovers a haggard community of beastmen who abandoned the realms of Haven and Azure only to be enslaved by Kyros' forces. Out of this rabble of defectors, she forges a tribe, their nomadic ways respecting no established border or law. They raid villages and caravans when possible, glutting on the spoils and boasting of their severed ties with the human world. Though a large bounty follows in the tribe's wake, no human can survive the hunt for its leader. Sirin, the Archon of Song, never lent her voice to your cause. After spending time in Lithian's Crossing gathering followers, she disappeared from the tiers before your personal conquest was done. Stories reach your ears occasionally, telling of a young woman with a hypnotic voice, and you wonder what marvels you could have accomplished with her in your charge. Though you once professed loyalty to Kyros, popular belief holds that the world cannot support two overlords, and you now represent a threat to the established order. This leaves your future in question, with but one certainty. When Kyros retaliates, you will be ready. From your perch atop the ancient spire, you can see hints of the Northern Empire just beyond the mountains. At your command, horns shout a triumphant cry across the valley, heralding the end of one long campaign and the beginning of another.
you.